to my channel, or welcome if you're new. In today's video, we're going to be taking some of the leftover beef roast that we had in the Cooking for Two video, and we're going to transform it into something different. So come along and find out what we're cooking today. Okay, I'm going to start with some of the roast. I'm going to take some of this roast and I'm going to put it in my pot on top of the stove. This is cold and straight from the refrigerator, so I am going to have to break it up a little bit, but that is perfectly fine once it starts heating up. We'll get some of that put in our pot. Okay, I've got my roast in my pot. I'm going to turn this stove eye on a medium heat. We're going to get that started heating up. I put enough in there. You put however much you want. We are going to make a beef pot pie. So you put however much you need, or however much you want of the roast beef into your pot. I'm using a ramekin to put mine in, to bake mine in. So I know that my ramekin should hold the amount of meat that I have in the pot. We're going to go in and we're going to add some mixed veggies to this pot with the meat. We're going to put some veggies in here. I'm not going to measure these. I don't use measurements a lot when I'm cooking, so I'm just going to eyeball it and I'm going to put in what I think will work. I'll start with a little bit and I'll get that mixed up in there. What I want to do, since they're frozen and my meat is cold, I just want this to heat up. I want to heat it up thoroughly, even though it's going to be going in the oven. I do want it heated through before it goes in. I'm going to add a few more veggies in. This is a mixture of corn, peas, carrots, and green beans. I'm not going to add any seasoning to this because my roast was already seasoned and it had plenty of seasoning in it, so I don't want to add any more to this mixture. You can if you want to. You're the one that's going to be eating it, so you cook it for yourself how you want it and how you like it. We're going to go in with just a few more veggies. I think that's going to be plenty. That's going to be delicious. So we're turning this leftover beef roast into a beef pot pie. I'll get this heated up and be back with you. While that's heating through, I'm going to show you what I'm going to use for the top of my beef pot pie. I'm going to use these Athens phyllo shells because I had them in my freezer and they need to be used. So I'm going to use some of these for the top of my beef pot pie, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. That's one of the reasons we're going ahead and heating our meat mixture up completely and heating it all the way through, because when I do put these in on the top and put it in the oven, it's not going to take but maybe about 5 minutes and it's going to be ready. And 5 minutes is not going to be long enough for the mixture inside to be heated through, and we want it heated completely through. When we do put it in the oven to heat it, we're going to turn our oven on 350. I've got it on 350 now to preheat. And we're going to cook it for 3 to 5 minutes just to crisp them up. And then they'll be ready to go. You can also turn this into a beef stew very easily. Put your roast into your pot. Add you some mixed veggies. Maybe cut up 1 potato into it. And you have you a very hearty beef stew. You may want to add a little bit of water to it if you're doing a stew, because you're going to need your potato to cook. unless you use canned potatoes. You could use diced canned potatoes in it. But we're gonna make a pot pie, not a beef stew tonight. So, but that's just another idea that you can do with your leftover beef roast. Make you a hearty stew. I think our mixture is heated through. It's bubbling real nice. You'll see I have some of the gravy in there from the original roast. But the veggies seem to be heated throughout. So we're going to get this put in the ramekin. I eyeballed that one pretty good. It fills that ramekin up. That is going to be a nice hearty dinner. Now let's get our top put on it. Okay, I've never used these phyllo dough shells for a beef pot pie. There's a first time for everything, right? I'm not scared to try something new. So I'm going to try this for you and I'll let you know how it turns out. But this is what I'm going to do because they're shaped already. I'm going to turn them upside down on top of our beef pot pie. So we're going to take this now and we're going to put it into a 350-degree oven for 3 to 5 minutes, just till these get nice and golden and crisp. Here's another item that you could use for the top of your beef pot pie. You can take just a regular frozen biscuit because they're individual in there. You know, canned biscuits are great if you're making a large pot pie, but for one person, you don't want to waste a whole can of biscuits. So this is an alternative to take a frozen biscuit, just one, let it thaw, roll it out to fit the top of your container that you're going to be cooking in, and you're good to go. Pop it in the oven for however long it says to cook the biscuit for. And voila, you have an alternative top for your beef pot pie rather than the phyllo dough. Or you can make your own pie crust topping for it if you choose to do it that way. And here we go. This is dinner. Leftover roast turned into a beef pot pie. With phyllo dough for your crust. It's nice and crisp. You've got your veggies and your beef inside. With some of that wonderful gravy. This is going to be yummy. This is delicious. Okay, this is our second meal for one out of our leftover roast. And tonight we're going to make a Philly cheesesteak quesadilla with a salad on the side. So we're going to take our beef roast. I kind of shredded it up some, got it in a pot on top of the stove. I've got it on a low heat right now because I don't want it to get too hot too fast, but I do want to heat this through. And in the meantime, while this is starting to heat, I have some oil, little olive oil in an iron skillet, and I'm going to saute up some onions and jalapenos. I don't care for bell pepper, so I always use jalapeno in mine. And so we're going to saute us up some onion and jalapeno. Okay, we're going to get us part of an onion cut up, and we're going to use a little medium-sized jalapeno, and we're going to get this cut up so that we can get it sauteed. I'm just going to slice it in thin slices. Try not to cut your fingers off. And just like that, just thin slices. I think that should be enough. That is about a quarter of an onion. I'll cut the ends off this jalapeno. I'm going to slice it down the middle. And I am going to de-seed it, devein it. I'll get it sliced up and we'll get these in our pan. I'm going to cut my jalapeno in thin strips, just like this, for our Philly cheesesteak quesadilla. I think the one medium size is going to be plenty. Okay, that should be good. We'll get this in our pan. Okay, I think our oil is hot enough. I've had it heating on a medium heat in the cast iron skillet. Just some olive oil. You can use whatever oil you like. I'm going to put our onion and our jalapeno off in there. I'm going to turn this heat down just a little bit. And we'll get these sauteed up. These smell absolutely delicious. While we've got that going, we've also got our beef roast that's over here slowly heating. Don't want to heat it too fast because I don't want it to burn. I just want to heat it through. We'll continue with that while our onion and jalapeno continue to cook. Our onions and jalapeno are starting to crisp up a little bit and getting brown. They smell so good. They're almost how I like them. As soon as they get finished, I'll show you how I'm going to put it together. These are the tortillas that I'm working with today. I have the small street taco tortillas. So they're the small ones, but I'm going to do 2 quesadillas with these, and I'll show you how I'm going to do mine. You can put yours together however you like, but since I'm working with the small ones, this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to be using just some white American cheese because that's what I have on hand. I don't run out and buy anything special for my dinners. I use what I have on hand to make them more budget friendly. You use whatever you have and whatever kind of cheese you like. We're going to cook up our quesadilla. This is a Philly cheesesteak quesadilla, so we're going to throw one of those down, pop half of a slice of cheese on it. We're going to put our beef mixture on. Just kind of spread that around. We're going to put our onion and jalapeno that we sauteed right on top of the beef. Get that up on there. It's not wanting to cooperate with me. Okay. And we're going to put the other half of that slice of cheese right on top and put the other tortilla on top of it. That's how I'm going to assemble mine. Okay, and there we have a nice, delicious dinner for one, using leftover beef roast to make a Philly cheesesteak quesadilla. Got cheese all melted in there. And we made a nice side salad to go with it. That's a wonderful dinner for one. It's just an idea to use up your beef roast if you have any leftover. Quesadillas are great. They taste good. You could make tacos, enchiladas. The list is endless on what you can do with leftover beef roast. But just an idea for what you can do for a dinner for one with some leftover roast. Hey y'all, just a little side note here. In my videos when I make them, I use what I have on hand. I know that that's not a true Philly cheesesteak filling that I made for the quesadilla. That's what I call it, is because that's what it reminds me of. And I know that I didn't use the right peppers, and I know I didn't use the right cheese, but I use what I have at home. I'm balling on a budget, and I make do, and I improvise, and that's what my videos are about, is cooking for one, cooking for two, cooking for a crowd, but improvising, using what you have on hand and making it work. Because, you know, everybody don't have the money to be running to the grocery store every single day. Well, even if I had the money to be running to the grocery store every single day, I'm not going to the grocery store every single day. I don't like going to the grocery store when I have to go. So I use what I have, and I improvise, and I know that I don't use the correct ingredients in some of my food, according to some people, but that's okay. That is perfectly okay. I'm the one eating the food. So when you cook, you're the one eating the food. Cook it how you want to eat it. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about what you're cooking. If you like it, that's all that matters. So I'm balling on a budget, and I cook with what I have. So I have a pretty well-stocked pantry and freezer, and so I can improvise most times. But if I don't have a certain cheese, that's okay. That is perfectly fine with me. I will improvise and use what I have, and I'll make it work. And I hope you'll do the same. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope it gave you some ideas on different things that you can make with leftover roast. Don't let cooking for one keep you from cooking the food that you love. You know, if you buy a beef roast, of course it's too much for one person. It's too much for two people. But that's okay. Buy the roast anyway. If that's what you want to eat, buy the roast anyway. If you have a butcher that will cut it for you, I know some places like Walmart, they don't have butchers on site, but other grocery stores do. I know my Publix does. The Winn-Dixie that we used to have here in our little town, they had a butcher on site. So they would cut the roast in half for you, or they would even cut it in quarters for you if that's what you wanted them to do. It was still the same price, but, you know, because you were buying the whole roast, but they would cut it for you. But if you don't have that available, take it home, cut that roast into different portions, freeze what you're not going to be using. That's what they make a freezer for. Freeze the part you're not going to be cooking right then. Cook the part that you want to eat. Buy the roast. It's okay. Just buy the roast. But I hope you enjoyed the video today, and I hope you'll come back for another one. Who knows what we're going to be cooking next? You'll have to come back and find out. See y'all.